So welcome back to DecoyNoise, where today we're doing 3 more stories from r/am I the a-hole and taking them to Decoy Court. But as always, we have to give out today's Decoy Coin of the day, which goes to Tanya Bams. Tanya Bams is like the other Decoy Coin recipients, where she has been around for pretty much the beginning of the Decoy Koi pond. So if you want to be just like Tanya Bams, make sure you subscribe down below, make sure you turn on those notifications, and let me know you want to be a part of that Decoy Koi pond. But getting to today's featured story of the day. Am I the antagonist for bringing my cat with me on a popular hike and accidentally antagonizing a few dogs? So OP writes, so I live by myself in a big city. There are a lot of hiking trails around me, so I've been hiking almost every weekend since the lockdown started. A few weeks ago, I bought one of those mesh cat carrier backpacks to put my cat in because I wanted to bring her with me for company. She loves being outside. I used it this past weekend on a fairly well-known but still remote at parts trail. About halfway through, a pack of 3 dogs came down the opposite direction, unleashed, and started going nuts at my backpack with the cat inside. The owners turn the corner and yell at them to sit. Dogs keep barking, and then they start yelling at me, asking if I'm trying to feed their dogs. It ends up taking a few minutes with them having to release each dog just to pull them away. Before they left, one of the women gave me a look and said, "Keep your cats off this trail next time. Should be common sense." So, am I the antagonist for bringing my cat? I've been going over it in my head. The trail is open to everyone, and dogs are technically required to be on leashes, but people don't care on the remote parts. My cat still ended up having a good time despite the dogs, so I want to keep bringing her, but feeling anxious that doing so will just get more hate from dog owners. So taking the case and rushing it over to Decoy Court with this situation is... Yes, people are going to be jerks. They're going to be antagonists when they're bringing their bringing their dogs without leashes, where they need to have them on any trail like that. So I mean, I could see why it would just be an expectation for you to not have a cat in a place that's like not necessarily a dog park, but like a hiking trail. So I could see why they wouldn't expect to have a cat there, and they would be kind of blindsided by this. But I mean, it's not their fault that you're kind of being careless with your animal. I guess the decoy defense in this situation would be what are you doing to that cat? Like, you know, the cat might like being outside, but I'm sure the cat doesn't want to be wrapped up in a basket and having 3 dogs barking at them while they kind of feel helpless in that situation. I don't know how like my cat personally would feel about that, but honestly, I don't know if that's being fair to the cat. I don't know if there's a better places where they're not going to run into dogs so often. So, I mean, I guess I'm just going to do a very light, everyone kind of sucks here, because I can't imagine the cat is having a good time or the cat is being smug when they can't run away from an obvious threat to them on the ground floor. But I mean, maybe that's just a polarized comment or a polarized thought. Let me know down below in the comments when we take a brief recess in Decoy Court as to story number 1. What are your thoughts as to OP bringing their cat in a backpack to what seems like a regular hiking trail, but would often be a dog trail? Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's go ahead and go to that top comment right now, which says, no antagonist, or not the antagonist. Your cat was in a backpack and on your back. It's not like you had your cat on a leash for the dogs to potentially attack. The owners would just embarrass their dogs aren't as well trained as they thought. Boo-hoo, the trail is open for everyone. So that's not the same reply that I had, but I imagine that's pretty accurate and fair to say, hey, they're just upset that they couldn't control their dogs. The next reply is, not the antagonist. If a dog cannot behave, does not respond to commands, then it should be leashed on a trail or no trail. End of story, and I'm a dog person. And I can see that being a situation where even if it's not a cat on the dog trail, it could be like a squirrel or anything like that, where all of a sudden the dog just goes nuts and wants to chase something, and then they have no control of their animal. So that kind of does come down on the dog owner, not OP. But let's go ahead and go over to the controversial section where it says, not the antagonist. Dog owners like them is why I can't bring myself to like dogs. Really hope your cat is okay and wasn't too scared by the situation. And the next reply was, don't hate on dogs because they have crappy owners. And the next reply that got heavily downvoted was, why would you take a cat on a walk in a backpack? And then the reply to that is, why not? And it is true, because some cats like to be stimulated on the outdoors, but it is widely known that outdoor cats live much shorter lives than indoor cats, for the most part, because there's just so much out there that can harm them. So giving them that same outside time in the safe little place of a backpack could be a good alternative, but I just don't know if the cat is going to be, you know, very, very scared of going to that backpack now after those dogs kind of surrounded it. So, you know, let me know your thoughts down below for story number 2, because I had a particular take on it and nobody else on Reddit shared my opinion. But going to the second story of the day, Am I the antagonist for not giving my family any money after they insulted me for my job? Reddit says they're not the antagonist, but Decoy Court may be different. So OP writes, I am a stripper and I go on dates with men for fun so they can practice. Not adult mommy daddy shoot monster time, but during the dates the most they do is hugging. I make the most out of anyone in my family. I've never been ashamed to be a stripper and it's not a secret. I bought a good house a few miles away from the club and I still try to talk to my family frequently. Until they started talking more and more crap about my job and calling me a promiscuous woman, saying that I'm stupid, that I have no life goals, so I cut them off and my parents from everything. A month or so later, they called me up telling me they need money to fix their car, and I told them, sorry, you don't want my money. It's promiscuous woman money. Remember? Apologize and I will give you the money. They say they won't be apologetic, so I told them that's their choice and hung up. Now I'm getting a text from my family and posts on Facebook saying that I should have just gave them the money and saying it's not a big deal. Edit. Holy crap. I was off Reddit for a few hours and came back to check and didn't expect this much traction at all. Thank you so much, guys. Just to let you know, I did read all the comments. Okay, so there is just more stuff about, directly messaging towards the Redditor, but we'll just take the case over to Decoy Court real quick. And this situation is, yes, if they don't respect OP for their choice of living or how they want to make their living, they shouldn't be entitled to the money. The only thing I could see is why they wouldn't, the decoy defense of it was if they weren't asking for money, they were just judging OP in the sense of hey, what are your long-term goals? How are you going to pay your mortgage? Should, more lockdowns occur, or maybe your status as this entertainer, subsides as you kind of go through the motions of whatever the career trajectory is in this field. I don't really know too much about it, but I could see them being genuinely concerned for OP, but not this whole shaming them. By the way, can we have some money? No, we're not going to apologize for being jerks. So I guess, Decoy Court and Decoy Defense are both saying that OP, you're not the antagonist. You are more than welcome to decide who gets your money, how they get your money, and if they're not willing to be a friendly person to you, they can't feel entitled to your money. So I guess we'll take a brief recess in Decoy Court. Let me know what you think in story number 2. Should our adult entertainer OP be giving any money to family, especially when they're not willing to give her respect? So let's go ahead and go to the top comment right now where it says, not the antagonist. You're a consenting adult making money off of other consenting adults. It's promiscuous woman money until the family needs something and realize it's all, but we are family. Good job holding your ground. The next top comment is, so they talked crap about their job and they called her dumb things, and then they said, what a charming group of people. OP reminded them that they're the kind of mean people, and then this commenter says, ooh, dear me, hear that satisfying sizzle? You're not the antagonist, my friend. Rock on. So, I mean, there wasn't much substance to that other than just quoting them and saying, hey, good job, good job. So hopefully over in the controversial section, we will see a bit more just fiery back and forth conversation as to why they are or not the antagonist. So in a very disappointing top controversial comment, it says, not the antagonist, can you please send your family the following message, ha ha ha, over and over and over. You do you, power to you, ignore the idiots, you're awesome and set for life, and they're trying to mooch off you for a broken down car, that shows their life goals. And I don't agree with any of this comment because it's just laughing and also kind of a, maybe not too, I don't want there's not much depth to that comment. So the next controversial reply that got heavily downvoted was, you're doing an honorable job. Don't worry about their bigotry. You affect those lives. Oh, okay. And the next reply that was 105 points was, not the antagonist. I don't agree with your choices in employment, but I respect you as an adult to make your own choices. That said, if people demean you, just cut them out and live your best life. I would probably twist the knife a little by buying a second car and driving to their place just to show off. Negative 104 points, but I like the cut of their jib right now, where they're willing to go out of their way to be petty to people that are being petty to them. I mean, obviously, I don't recommend that as actual behavior, but that's kind of funny that they're bringing it up. So let's make us kind of go to the third and final story of the day, which is, am I the antagonist for having a secret savings account in case of divorce? OP writes, my husband, a 32-year-old male, and I, a 28-year-old female, have a unique marriage in some ways. We have been together for 10 years and married for 8 of them. We don't have kids and don't plan on it. We have tried to keep finances fair but separate. We contribute equally to bills and to our joint savings account, but have separate checking accounts after bills and savings. It's our choice what we do with our own remaining money. We make about the same amount of money, but I spend a lot less. He has some expensive hobbies and I don't, So over the past few years, I've started my own personal savings out of my fund money, which now equals about as much as our joint savings. I'm just not sure about my marriage, and I feel safer having the ability to leave if things get worse. My mom was in 2 bad relationships while I grew up, and I never want to be in a situation where I feel trapped. My husband has never been like that, to be clear. The main issue around my marriage is our adult time. My husband doesn't enjoy it, and I don't know this until we were married. I don't think he deliberately hid it from me, but that he didn't know or won't acknowledge this about himself. We haven't had it in about 5 years now, and it has caused me to lose romantic feelings towards him. He has some anger/emotional issues that he is in therapy addressing, but he doesn't ever want to talk to me about them. We coexist, but I don't feel like I'm in a relationship anymore, and I'm not sure how to fix it when he refuses to open up to me. I am hopeful therapy might help, and I'm giving this time, but I also feel better having an exit plan. I recently mentioned this to my best friend, and he called me out about it, basically said I'm being disloyal to my marriage. He asked me why I'm staying at all if I have 1 foot out the door, and leaving now would be kinder than letting my husband know in a few years that I planned this all along. Am I the antagonist? And edited to add, I'm not worried about having to split the money or disclose my savings if we divorced. My goal is to actually let him have our joint savings completely and have saved up enough on my own that I could still be okay. In terms of property, he has a lot more than me because of his expensive hobbies, and I just imagine he would keep all of it. So I'm less concerned about the legal side and more worried that I'm being a horrible person by hiding this while he's in therapy and asking me not to leave him. So taking the case and rushing over to Decoy Court, is this marriage to me seems done. Like, if they already saying, like, hey, look, he doesn't enjoy mommy daddy sheep monster time, where they are trying to, she lost romantic feelings to him, and she's already putting 1 foot out the door, planning her, her escape, it's already over. And it does make, I think, in my opinion, makes OP a terrible person because they admit that OP isn't doing anything negative, just like what happened to her own mother, but since she's not into him, she's already building up some money on the side and not giving him a fair shot at doing the same thing for himself. Yes, they said that they're going to split that money down the side, but you never know how messy divorces get later on down the line, so this is kind of an unfair thing. I think OP should be open and communicative about what their expectations are and saying, hey, if they're ready to move out and they're saving up money, they should be honest about it. So the Decoy defense of it is a thing where OP says, their mother went through this really bad situation. I'm not trying to say the word because I try to keep this PG-13 rated and very lighthearted, especially if you have other people listening to this podcast while you're listening to it. But a situation where I say that yes, he's not like that, but then he also has anger and emotional issues, so maybe she's just not trying to paint the other person in that negative a light, so giving them their fair shake, maybe they genuinely are like that, and OP just doesn't want to illustrate it that way. But I'm still gonna kind of say that OP's the antagonist, because why not give the husband a fair shot at fixing the relationship and knowing what's at stake, and 2, letting him know, hey, maybe you should stop spending so much money on that hobby and start saving up, because me and you are going to have separate finances, separate mortgages, separate bills, and everything's going to get a whole lot more expensive. Maybe they'd make different financial choices if they knew that was at stake. But that's my thoughts on story number 2. Take a brief recess in Decoy Court and let me know what your thoughts are down below for story number 3. Should OP be allowed to just put some money aside when they feel like their relationship is crumbling? Let's go ahead and shoot over to those top comments right now, which the top comment is, we need more information. Why are you in a relationship with someone when you are so incompatible? You're being the antagonist to yourself by staying with someone you don't love and haven't done so for 5 years. Regarding the money, since your finances are separate, you're not the antagonist for saving your fund money instead of spending it. Since you each do what you want with your fund money, it doesn't matter. You have a lot in savings. That being said, in a divorce, I highly doubt he wouldn't get half of it anyway. Very true, but I'm not a divorce attorney. OP came back to say, we've been together since I was 18 years old, and the things were really different in the beginning. I still care about him as a person and don't want to abandon him. I know I'm not happy, but part of me keeps hoping this is just a rough patch. He's terrified of the idea of me leaving him, but he puts no effort into improving our relationship. He thinks I just need to accept that I won't ever be in that adult situation again. When I brought it up how I didn't know if I can handle that, he said it sounded like my problem, not his, and yet more evidence that this relationship is entirely cooked and done, it's over. The next reply is, you do realize that in case of a divorce, a judge can say that half of that savings goes to him, right? Putting it into a separate savings doesn't protect in a divorce. Have you considered couples therapy or going to a therapist? Not the antagonist, but your friend is kind of right. OP came back to say this, yeah, I don't expect to come out of this with a whole lot of extra money. I just want to be able to put a down payment on a new place without touching our joint savings. I also don't think he would ever try to take money from my account. He is a really fair person and I trust him. Yep, offered a dozen times. He gets really defensive and says I need to stop talking like he has a problem. He's in therapy on his own now, which I think is better than nothing, but it's more to address his own emotional problems in our relationship. Last time I asked, his response was, our relationship isn't my priority right now, so I left it alone. And this kind of shows me like they have a misunderstanding as to like they're telling her, hey, you're setting this money aside in a separate account. He's going to get half of it. And she says, well, I just want to be able to put money and I'm not going to touch the joint savings. Well, half of that money is going to him and half of the joint savings is going to you. So it almost doesn't make sense for them to be doing this. I understand this is kind of their security blanket. So I get it, but it's not going to help them. And also the whole situation where they're saying like, hey, look, you know, when last time OP asked the husband for the response, the husband says, our relationship isn't our priority right now, so they left it alone. Yeah, both of them are done trying. This is over. Might as well just be entirely transparent about what your plans are and what his expectations should be to save them grief, because if that's his take on the relationship and really doesn't want OP to leave and is kind of dismissive about it, once they have the divorce proceedings like in order, and all of a sudden OP knows that, the husband knows that OP has been planning this for a long time in secret, this is going to change everything. I imagine that OP's husband getting angry will probably look for damages and way more money than OP is thinking that they're going to look for. He's a sweet person now, but who knows what's going to happen once that divorce starts. Let's go ahead and look at the top controversial comment, which is heavily downvoted, saying, you're the antagonist. Your friend is right. You've already got one foot out the door. You're unhappy with your marriage. Why are you staying in it? And it got negative 28 points, but I think that's exactly what I was thinking more there. Hey, your foot's out the door. You're ready to go. Why drag this on? OP stated that he asked me to stay about a year ago when I said about how unhappy I was. He also started therapy. He says our relationship isn't his priority and he has to fix himself first and asked me not to leave him during this, which I could see that being reasonable, where he just wants to fix himself. Maybe they can hold on. Maybe the relationship can be salvaged. But in my humble opinion, when somebody is this checked out of a relationship, there's no salvaging. It's done. It's over. It's cooked. It's time to move on. It's sad, but true. But let's go ahead and read one more controversial comment where it says, you're the antagonist. I'm sorry your relationship is bad, but you either need to leave or commit to working to repair it. Lying to your significant other about finances isn't okay in my book, so make your move already. Don't just string him along and waste both of your time. Got negative points, but I imagine this is good advice too. Maybe I'm just the antagonist too, but these controversial replies seem a little bit more applicable to me in OP's particular situation because it's a, she's not working on repairing it. OP's husband isn't working on repairing it. You guys are lying about your whole situation on whether this relationship can ever come back to being happy again. And now OP's lying about their finances. This is just a disaster waiting to happen. So in Decoy Court, even though I don't agree with many of the comments over there, I do agree that, with the controversial section where they say it's over, it's done, stop lying, just be forthcoming. Honesty is the best policy, especially when it comes to a very nasty divorce financially, which looks like it's about to come on the horizon. But that's all I got for the 3 stories today. If you like my particular take on Reddit, am I the antagonist, or Reddit posts in general, make sure you subscribe down below and make sure you turn on those notifications, because it's just kind of a different thing with a podcast style. I just feel like it's more of a Reddit reading channel, but has more personality and it's more interactivity with the comments down below. So join that Decoy Koi pond, like the video, share the video, or do none of that at all. Just go ahead and put this on autoplay and watch the next episode of DecoyNoise coming up next.